And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the Market Recap. Wednesday, February the 23rd. I'm John Hoagland, still sitting in for Dan Hodgman. Thanks for trusting me with your time. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you had a good trading day. Not a good day for the markets, as we know, falling deeper into corrective territory. Hopefully you were able to take advantage of some of that and batten down your 401ks. Got some, continuing uncertainties, and markets don't like uncertainty. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to use short time frame or short-term attention spans to get us through this. This is going to be around for a while. It's going to be a bumpy ride for a little bit. But this too, hopefully, shall pass. I continue to pray for peaceful outcomes for everything. And we do have a big day tomorrow, especially with regards to economic data. GDP, 7:30 tomorrow. Jobless claims, 7:30 tomorrow. Chicago Fed, 7:30 tomorrow. New home sales, 9 o'clock tomorrow. Nat gas report, 9:30. EIA petroleum status report, 10 o'clock. Got some 3 6-month bill auctions. We've got a couple of talking Feds tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a big day as far as economic releases. Of course, we'll review those tomorrow morning on the market forecast, but be prepared. As far as the markets, crude oil finds more rejection above weekly kickoff high. We have not yet closed above that level. We've been talking a little bit about how that auction process looks a little bit tired. It's going to take some new business, some new participants to continue that move to the upside. Falling largely into range-bound activity can also help us even out that inventory for the next move, which is who knows when that's coming. Kind of looking at the news that's come out today. The Dow is down 400 points, fourth decline in 4 sessions. Biden has announced the sanctions on the Nord Stream 2, and looks like Russia is, still preparing for an attack. We're hoping and praying, of course, that does not happen. Cyber attacks have hit Ukrainian banks and government websites. That's what they're saying is going to be the first wave. So again, hoping for diplomacy and the peaceful resolution of all of that. Don't know how that's going to work, but we can certainly pray and be hopeful for that. News is basically all about stocks, all about the Russian and Ukrainian situation. E-mini S&Ps and the Nasdaq uncertainties certainly have our heroes falling deeper into corrective territory. Nasdaq approaches 20% off the all-time highs. S&P is now closing firmly below that 10% correction level. Gold pushes to highest close since June of 21. We see that market continuing to put forth a healthy upside auction, and it looks the same today. Of course, we'll be looking at volume and open interest tomorrow morning, but we still have our delta divergence that we were looking at this morning. We will see that on the charts again this afternoon. The euro still range bound, but at least there was some directional activity. The market open looked higher, and then one time frame lower for the rest of the session, but still maintaining in that 4 or 5 day range that we've been sitting in. in that 6-week range from a while back. We're talking about getting stuck in that gooey area. We're stuck in it all right. The natural gas, we were potentially putting up an island top this morning. However, that gap did close during the session today on an attempt at weekly kickoff high. In the 10-year, an open auction really closes the gap and probes both extremes. And we've got a head and shoulders situation we were looking at this morning in the 10-year. We're going to have to see if that plays out for us. As always, make sure you hit the lucky like button, share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are always welcome here on the market forecast and on the market recap. Those of you that joined me for group coaching today, I hope you had a good and interesting session. I thought we had some really good conversations. And for those of you that helped me get ready for the upcoming new thing that we're going to be trying out, I appreciate that. And we'll look forward to telling you that as we get closer, telling you what it is as we get closer. But you're going to have the opportunity to make me money. Going to have hopefully a lot of fun and some really informative and helpful information. Bill, good afternoon. Brian, Tachyon, hello. Alessandro, good afternoon to you. Norman, good afternoon. Spencer, stay safe out there for sure. Dr. VJ, good to see you. Hope things are going well for you. George, and Dan Edmonds, Green Day. Wasn't pretty. Still alive, though. That's very important, is to be here tomorrow. Always trade for tomorrow. That's our founder's famous tagline, if you will. Always trade for tomorrow. Be here tomorrow. That's part of the game. It's good to see everyone this afternoon. I know it was a busy trading day. Down days are always exhausting to me for some reason. The up days don't really beat me up that much, but down days tend to get me a little tired, a little bit rattled. Maybe it's just because of the whole, idea of the markets going lower. Gianfuca, good afternoon. Galen, good afternoon to you as well. Thanks for popping in and saying a hello. Why don't we kind of already looked at the news. It's basically all about stocks, all about Nord Stream, and all about Russia and Ukraine. Apparently, investors are pulling money out of bond and money market funds at the fastest pace in years. We've been seeing that in the pricing of our equity futures here. Morgan Stanley says, stick to the fundamentals as market worries over the Ukraine and Fed fester. This too, we know from the past, these things will pass. It's just a matter of time of getting through it. And again, continue, please, to pray for a peaceful resolution. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the charts here? I've got the daily and the S&Ps up. Let's take a look at what happened today, what we were thinking this morning. All right, I got my handy-dandy notes here. We were thinking, perhaps maybe we were too short again after yesterday. We looked below weekly kickoff low, and we had a pretty decent pullback from that. We added 45,000 estimated open interest on that move, indicating, some potential new buying coming in. Maybe we were too short. Maybe this is new buying. Well, that new buying certainly got roasted today. We were waiting for the next shoe to drop, and perhaps the next shoe dropped with the war and with Nord Stream being sanctioned. Take a look at the 30. Looks like we're going to have potentially a late spike for us to deal with tomorrow. Couple of interesting things happened during the session here today, and the market opened. It looked both sides of the opening range. It was a choppy open. Wasn't a great opportunity for an opening range trade, which we were somewhat expecting because we were opening in range and pretty close to value. So the opening range trade was largely off for us today. the market started to move lower, testing basically right to weekly kickoff low, spanning that area for a period of time. Now, what I'd like to do is show you in real time where the value high was when we put in these two highs here. And none of this had happened yet. This is what the profile looked like when we put in the low, we came back up and we tested the high of value pretty much to the tick. Really decent opportunity there. If you weren't being too cheap, maybe you were able to get into that and start to participate in this move to the downside. Now, back to the daily. What did this move to the downside do for us? Well, we are testing the swing low here from the 24th of January. You get a little bit of a test down to it. We're going to have a close below weekly kickoff low. The uncertainties are still out there. We're going to see if we brought in some new business to the downside. Volume, not tremendous, not horrible, but usually on down days, we usually see some pretty decent volume. We didn't see that volume today, at least in the futures. All right, now back to the 30. Okay, after we tested to weekly kickoff high and started breaking down below weekly kickoff low, this bar traded right to weekly kickoff low, 42.83. We saw that happen yesterday within a buck on this pullback in the afternoon. We saw this come back and test straight to it, and then we continued the move to the downside. So pretty decent opportunities off value high at the time and off a weekly kickoff low if we were able to catch that and see that that was an opportunity for us to limit risk. And let's bring this back to our close right now. Looks like we're going to have a late spike. We have to see that in the morning. The late spike down here is the market has pushed lower but hasn't had time in regular trading hours to accept. If we open in the late spike or below, that's going to mark acceptance of lower pricing and a potential continuation of this move to the downside. Uh-oh. Take a look at the Nasdaq. Oh, one other thing. The continuation chart. 10%. It's been supportive. We've closed now below it a couple of times. We're going to head for the 15%, which is 40.86. I wonder if I still left these over here. So this was the okay, this was COVID. Once we started taking off the highs, I usually will put the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%, 30% levels up there when it looks like something is going to be heading that way. These areas of balance basically went from this was 10%, this was 20%, this was 25%, this was 30%. That's why I put those up there. So we're going to have to see how this continues to play for us. Just wanted to point out where we're at as far as percentages off the high. We are now more than 10% off the high. We are more than 20% or approaching 20% off the high in the Nasdaq. 13,414 is 20% off the high. 15%, 10%. We've got a pretty deep correction going here in the Nasdaq. Look at the 30. Oh, I didn't put the profile on there. Largely the same, just deeper. Opening range at the high, taking a look above, not accepting above range and value, down to the low of value, weekly kickoff low, a decent opportunity if we were able to catch that. let's see how close we really got to it. So this is the low of that is 13,714. 13,706 is weekly kickoff low. If we were able to catch this move, wonderful. Let's see what it looks like with value high at that time. Don't quite get to value high. That seems to make sense for the Nasdaq. We got another late spike to the downside. It's going to be another interesting day. Gold. This was I think the most telegraphed move for the day. I don't know if it's ever telegraphed, but just noting that we've been adding open interest all the way up. Volume has been holding up relatively well. Maybe not so much today, but we're kind of range bound here. But we do see Delta overall continuing to dip to the downside. Price moving higher, Delta moving lower as a divergence that it can indicate longer, stronger buyers in this case in the marketplace. Here's the 30. So the market opened. Remember, we had a huge opening range if you were on the forecast. What was that opening range? It was 58 ticks. We're talking about 60, 65 ticks of risk if we're going to take that. So my suggestion was, well, let's wait. We took out the high of the opening range. If we get an opportunity with price back inside the opening range, closer to the low of the opening range, that would give us an opportunity to limit our risk. And we certainly saw that opportunity for us. Let's see, 1901.20. The low was 1999.70. So about 20, 25 ticks of risk if we were just able to clip this down here. But then the market continued its move to the upside. We see Delta continuing to push more and more negative as price continues to push higher. We're seeing it on the daily. We're seeing it in a daily fashion on the 30-minute chart. So this market still is presenting as a relatively strong market. I was looking for the opportunity to see this market get up to weekly kickoff high, which it still has yet to do because we tested up to it in the overnight session Sunday night. When we put in new all-time or recent highs, the market tends to go target those in regular trading hours. So you have to see about that tomorrow. The euro, we're talking about the euro, how tough it's been, how range-bound it's been. And it's still range-bound, still looking at short time frame levels, fourth day, fifth day in range-ish. The 30-minute chart tells the real story. Range, value, everything really kind of remaining in stasis here, if you will. Even settlement from last night, very close to the settlement from Friday. Not a big change in perception of value here. Market did open, took a look higher, and then one time frame lower for the better part of the session. Well, it got up to the upper area of the range that we've been in, and it traded down to the lower area of the range that we've been in. We have to see what happens as far as volume and open interest are concerned, but we did not bring in a whole bunch of volume. We're still range bound and short time frame controlled. Let's look at the natural gas now. Here's the daily. So looking at the 30-minute chart this morning, we knew we had a potential for an island top. We had an island bottom, which created this upside move. That island top is no longer there. It does not exist. We added 9,600 in open interest on this push off of the weekly kickoff high yesterday, which happened largely overnight. Another test back to it today. Here's what it looked like on the 30-minute chart. Here's Nat Gas, 30-minute. Opened, another test of weekly kickoff high. We just had to go up and test this point of control from Monday's abbreviated session. Let's take that off. Let's make sure we note that it was a naked point of control check. Sometimes, man, these markets are so visual. They're going to check these warm, fuzzy areas uh, of these naked points of control. Great opportunity for an exit and an entry in the opposite direction for us today. Boy, it really targeted that very close to almost to the tick and then turned back. Here's the island top we were discussing this morning. We gapped to it. We gapped lower. No gap this morning, but we did manage to come up and close this gap, which is important. This is no longer a strong reversal signal. And to the 10-year. Okay, we're looking at this as a potential head and shoulders. Okay, we looked above, did not find what we were looking at. We added 29,000, estimated again, open interest off the high from yesterday. Here's the 30. Okay, here's our head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. The neckline. So if we take the high of the head to the neckline and extend that lower, it brings us down to weekly kickoff low. We didn't do that today. We had an open auction. We traded both sides. The market probed, did close the gap, didn't reaccept inside of value, really just kind of rotated there. I'm going to be very fascinated to see how this market finishes the week, because if this is a true head and shoulders reversal pattern, we could bring price back down to weekly kickoff low. That would be a pretty decent opportunity for someone. All right. So let's see what we got here. Mm-hmm. All right. So Dan stopped at 2:30. I knew if I kept going, nothing good would happen. Looking forward to tomorrow, though. Let the dust settle and the brokers force liquidate some over-leveraged longs tonight. Yeah, you may see that. That's for sure. Dr. VJ John, it seems to me that the news is merely an excuse to what the market would do anyway. For example, ES is dropping to test Jan lows at 42.1275. The market, yes. Sometimes it does seem that the market would do these things even without some of the headline news or even some of the fundamentals. Sometimes these things are as technical as they are fundamental. Captain Price, don't be long holder overnight. These markets are nasty corrections right now. Only down momentum until maybe even mid-March. It's definitely feasible. Overnight margins on Ninja are 2 times right now the normal. Yeah, they're raising margins, which is going to scare even more positions out of the marketplace. 4,200, nice juicy round number. Maybe a given overnight. Norman, hope everyone is prepared for the death cross. Be safe. Captain, after full moon this month, only down, staying under the 10-day exponential moving average in the ES. All interesting thoughts and ideas. Speaking of interesting thoughts and ideas, this day in history, February 23rd, 1945, is the day that the Marines raised the flag over Iwo Jima, that famous statue. The Marines, our good friend Dan, is a Marine. A couple other things. 1980, Eric Heiden speed skates to Olympic history. A record time. 1940, Woody Guthrie writes, "This land is your land." That's about it for that. As far as music is concerned, hey, they're also talking about Woody Guthrie writing "This Land Is Your Land" on this date. 1952, it's Brad Whitford's birthday. If you know who Brad Whitford is, he's the other guitarist for Aerosmith. In 1972, after 5 years of marriage, Priscilla Presley moved out of Elvis Presley's California home and into a 2-bedroom apartment near the Pacific Ocean. On this date, poor Priscilla and poor Elvis. 1978 winners at this year's Grammy Awards included Fleetwood Mac and the album Rumors, the Eagles for Record of the Year for Hotel California, and the Bee Gees for How Deep Is Your Love. In 2003, Norah Jones cleaned up at the 45th Grammy Awards. And there's one other one here that I thought was cool. 2019, Ariana Grande became the first solo artist to hold the top 3 spots on the U.S. Hot 100 in the same week, a feat previously accomplished only by the Beatles. I like Ariana Grande. I don't know if she's the Beatles, but God, good for her. That's fantastic. All right, that's about enough of that monkey business. Ray, I hope peace for everybody. And, all right, it is 3:30 just about. We're going to call this a recap. Again, thanks for joining me for the group coaching today. I thought it was a very good session, very good questions and important questions. We'll be doing that again next Monday and Wednesday, and we may have a special surprise for you next Thursday. We're going to have the opportunity to make Hogue money. More about that later. As for tonight, get some rest. Be good to yourself, be good to others, stay kind, say a prayer for peace. And we'll see you tomorrow morning on the Market Forecast, 7:45. Same bad time, same bad channel. Get a good night's sleep, and again, say a prayer. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.